Morning, everybody. I'm just going to wait a minute, see if anybody comes on. Let me just shut the window. Hey, Nicola. Who's got rain this morning? I'm so happy it's raining. I know not everybody will be, but it's too hot. I couldn't sleep last night, not just because of Advent chaos, but because it was just too hot. I just couldn't rest, I couldn't settle. So I'm glad it's raining. Hi, Eva. Yeah, Nicola, I think some people got the rain like yesterday and it's now made its way over to us. It's going to be a lot cooler though for the rest of the week, so I'm really thankful for that. Anyway, I'm going to get started because most people are probably getting ready to go out for work at the minute, so hopefully you'll catch up on this and watch it back on the train or whatever. I just wanted to come on and talk about a couple of points after last night, okay? Now, I know that new product launches and that kind of stuff is mental. It's always the same. Something always happens, like the system will crash or things will go out of stock, okay? It's normal. That was the first thing that I wanted to say. They are working on it and it is getting a lot better, okay? When I first joined this business, my first order was absolutely diabolical. I had so many problems with it. The website literally just kept booting me out, crashing on me. And it was a lot worse this time last year compared to what it is now. They are doing a lot of work on the system in general to make it faster and make it more reliable. Okay, so you will have seen that yesterday they turned off yesterday evening a lot of the reporting and things like that, so as managers we couldn't be running reports that would slow the system down and that type of thing. So they are actively working on improving the stability of the website, and believe me, it is a lot better in comparison to a year ago when I first joined the business. So that is the first thing. Like, when you've got potentially up to 16,000 people descending on a website at any one time, it will happen, okay? I don't know if anybody else follows, there's a shoe company called Irregular Choice, and they do the most beautiful, like, original, unique shoes. And they always get special editions, so they'll do like Disney themes, for example, and they only have so many pairs of them. You go on their website the day of launch and the homepage won't even open. It will literally say you are in a queue. There are like 2,000 people ahead of you. Expect to get access to the website in like 3 hours, and you just literally have to sit there and wait, okay? So everybody has the same problem, whether it's, Body Shop, shoes. It's not about getting a better website necessarily. It's just about controlling and doing the best with what you've got. Like, you can't make it completely reliable. That's just never going to happen. So we just have to have a little bit of patience, stick with it, and just keep trying. Now, I know that causes frustrations from the point of view of things going out of stock. So the next thing I just wanted to talk about was forecasting. Okay, people might be sat there thinking, well, how are you any kind of expert to talk about this? But my previous job, when I used to have my corporate career, I actually worked for two of the biggest food manufacturers in the UK. One of those food manufacturers was Thornton's chocolate company. As you can imagine, they are a very, very seasonal business, just the same as we are at the Body Shop, as most businesses are. A lot of businesses are seasonal and they make up a lot of their volume in one portion of the year compared to another. Thornton's was very, very similar in the fact that it was a gifting company. They had, a lot of their business was people buying for other people, okay? So they did about 80% of their total business for the year from Christmas to Easter. Okay, so about a 3 or 4 month window, they would just be literally insane. Okay, I used to work for their gift delivery service, which made it even crazier, because we would go from having about 800 orders a day and a core staff of about 20 people to having 10,000 orders a day and having about 200 temporary workers working 24/7. It was like insane, the scale and the way that things move. So I just wanted to come on and explain a little bit about that, because I think a lot of people, if you haven't been involved in that industry, it's hard to understand what happens when all of a sudden Christmas descends upon you. Okay, so they'll go from having this tiny little warehouse, you know, stocking all the all year round products, to all of a sudden they've got to double the amount of the number of products and also the volume of stock that they're holding. Okay, when it comes to forecasting and knowing what is going to be available, obviously the business doesn't want to have a load of excess stock, okay, because otherwise what happens is they have to put that into discounts after the season has finished. And we'll still see some of that, because the company can never get it right. It is physically impossible for the business to predict how many of what we're going to sell, because they could think something's going to be really popular and then the customers just don't like it for whatever reason. So what they do and how they forecast is they will look at the previous year's performance, okay? And they will say, for example, the £99 advent calendar, last year we sold whatever, let's just say 10,000 as a number for an example. Last year we sold 10,000. At the point that they were forecasting this Christmas at the start of this year, that's what you have to remember. They were forecasting at the beginning of this year for Christmas, maybe even a little bit earlier. When I was at Thornton's, we would literally come out of Christmas and start planning for the next Christmas. So that's how early. It's always kind of like a year in advance. So it's a really, really hard job for the people who are doing that to try and predict what's going to happen a year ahead. We've literally only just done it, and now we've got to try and figure out what's going to happen for the next year. So they will look at the sales and they will say, okay, as of last Christmas, maybe we're in 30% growth. Okay, so if we did 10,000 last year and we're in 30% growth, we're going to want to have an extra 30% of stock this year. Okay, and they say, just to be on the safe side, let's go to 40 or 50%. So they'll predict then that is what they're going to sell. They will then order components and things like packaging and all of that type of thing to make what they think they're going to sell. Okay, in terms of lead times for packaging, in order to keep the costs down and keep the price effective for us and be able to pay us the amazing commission and profit and all of that kind of thing on our sales, and still be able to give us a discount that we can pass on to our customers, in order to keep their costs reasonable, they will have to order, you know, from places like the Far East and things like that. So they will order packaging from all over the world. Literally, packaging and ingredients will need to be ordered from all over the world in order... Shush! Sorry, bear with me, Mum. Stop it! They will need to order packaging from all over the world in order to make sure that they can get the right price, to give us the right price so that we can give our customers the right price. So that lead time, sometimes to get more packaging, can take like 5 or 6 months. And I'm not even joking about that. To get it at the price, it's not as simple as being able to just go, I'll just order 2,000 more bits of packaging, because it would cost them an absolute fortune and it wouldn't be cost effective for them to do that. So there is this massive, huge process with literally thousands of components, probably hundreds of people involved, working on trying to get that right. And with the best will in the world, they are never going to get it right, okay? There's always going to be an item that we probably don't really like very much, that we've got loads of stock of, and that there's always going to be something that is amazing that sells out really fast. It's just the way it goes. What makes that even harder for The Body Shop and similar companies is when we go into hyper growth. So as you're all probably aware, The Body Shop at home is in hyper growth at the minute. You know, we are seeing ridiculous, like some months we are 100% ahead of the previous year on sales, okay? 100% growth. So remember what I was just saying about the company looks at what we did the previous year, they predict based upon the current rate of growth plus a little bit extra. If all of a sudden we go and do 50% more than that, the company can't account for that, you know, with the best will in the world, they can't predict what's going to happen. Like, it is literally like that, putting a finger in the air and taking a punt and a guess. And sometimes you will use your gut a little bit and you'll go, actually, yeah, and they'll, you know, get more of one particular thing or whatever. But it's guesswork. It is absolute guesswork at the end of the day. And the company cannot hold an unlimited amount of stock of everything, because they wouldn't have a business if they did that, okay? Then the third thing is stock allocation and movement, okay? A physical movement of stock in the warehouse. So we all know, like, this happens on a weekend all the time. It seems more exaggerated now, and I know that it's frustrating because when you've worked so hard to try and get, you know, £500 worth of advent calendar sales and then it goes out of stock, it's very, very frustrating, the thought that you're not going to be able to supply your customer, you're potentially going to lose out on commission and all of that type of thing, okay? And I completely get that, because we're all in exactly the same situation. You know, we've got managers in the team that are sat there now in the same situation as consultants. They've sold product that they currently don't have, and I understand that that is frustrating, okay? But this happens every weekend. This happens. And I know it's a little bit different when it's a face wash or a mask or something to a £100 advent calendar. However, don't panic. Please do not panic, because at the end of the day, you are a lot more stressed about this than your customers are. You are panicking about this a lot more than your customers are. Advent doesn't start until the 1st of December, okay? So even though, because we have this big launch and we have this big hype and everybody's so excited about it and everybody just like wants to make sure they've got their customers' orders, your customer doesn't really care. At the end of the day, yes, they've spent £100 or £65 or whichever calendar they've ordered, but to them, they don't need their advent calendar until the 1st of December, okay? You've got 2 months, 2 whole months, yeah? So there's no need to panic your customers immediately. There's no need to, as soon as you can't place an order last night, be messaging them saying, I'm going to give you a refund because I can't get it. We don't know that that is the case yet, okay? So what happens every weekend, it always happens to me, because I tend to place an order on a Sunday night, and I don't know why I keep doing it, because I know that there's going to be stuff out of stock, but my thinking is, you know, the warehouse don't work on a weekend, so if I place it Sunday night, then it'll get picked Monday and then it'll go out. But I should just always wait until the Monday morning, because something always goes out of stock on the Sunday afternoon, okay? And there is a reason for this, which again, I'm going to explain now. So I used to manage the warehouse for Thornton's gift delivery service, okay? We had about 300 pickable locations, okay? So basically, for anybody who hasn't ever worked in that kind of environment before and doesn't know anything about it, this is what happens. The orders get placed. They have a team of what they call pickers, and these are people that are going to pick the orders and pack them up ready to post them out to you, okay? They will get a sheet and it says, go and pick this item from that location, okay? And there'll be like a big, like, it's usually like a rolling rack or something like that. And they'll go along and it'll say, go to A1 and pick 2 of these, go to A2 and pick 3 of them, and whatever. And they go along and they pick all of the items. Those locations in the warehouse is what they call the pick face. They are pickable locations that people can go to and take stock from, okay? Elsewhere in the warehouse, there will probably be about 1,000 other locations, okay? And these locations will be like full pallets of stuff. So they'll be up in the air, like 3 or 4 stories, often sometimes up to 10 stories high, in like metal racking, everything on pallets, up wrapped up in boxes, out of the way, ready, just on storage, basically. That stock that is behind the pick face, obviously they can't let people pick from that, because they wouldn't be able to reach it. Okay, they wouldn't physically be able to go to that location and get something from it, because they'd need like special lifting equipment, fork trucks, that kind of thing to access it. So the way that warehousing systems work is you have pickable locations that are turned on, and then you have non-pickable locations. Excuse me. You have non-pickable locations which are turned off. So all of that storage, they could have thousands more on stock, but it's in a location that is turned off. Okay, and the way that the warehousing system works, it is a bit of a flawed system, because it means that quite often things will say out of stock when they're not actually out of stock. It just means that the stock isn't available for somebody to pick. But all systems work like this. Again, it's not uncommon. It's the way that warehousing systems work, because you have to have a way of controlling that stock, because you can't have 200 people going to try and pick something from a pallet that's 5 stories up in the air somewhere. So what will happen is, and this is what happens every weekend, it's gone out of stock over the weekend, and we'll say, okay, wait until about lunchtime on Monday, because you'll probably see that what will happen is it will come back on stock. It's just a stock move, and you'll hear us talk about this stock move all the time. And that's what happens. The warehouse team come in on a Monday morning, they'll go, oh, that location's empty, or the system will say to them, you've got all these orders sitting here. It's recording, so hopefully I'm going to come back. Yeah, everybody's just dropped off now because I've frozen, I think. Hopefully it was recording. So yeah, this is just a normal process, and I know it's so frustrating, but please just try to have patience with it. We don't know the situation with advent calendar stock at the minute. It could just be that we need to do a stock move. It could be that we've sold out. Nobody knows at the minute. Until head office opens and they give us an update, we won't have any more information. So please just be patient. Like I say, you don't need to communicate anything with your customers yet until we get official word from head office, okay? And there are plenty of things that you can do if it is that the calendars are genuinely out of stock this morning and we have physically sold them and we're not going to be getting any more, which I think is very highly unlikely. There are things that you can do. So you can offer your customers alternatives. A lot of you guys I know have been doing raffles and things like that to get these orders in. So what you can do is you can offer them a smaller calendar and bump up the money that has been spent with other Christmas products and things like that. So don't panic. Don't just rush out and speak to your customers and say, they've all gone out of stock, I'm going to give you a refund, because if they do come back in, you're going to look silly, first of all, and you're going to have lost out on the sales, because the chance of you getting that sale back if you've already told the customer you're going to refund them is probably quite slim. So don't panic, just wait. Speak to your upline or your upline manager before you go to your customers for some advice about how to approach the situation, because the way that you approach this situation and the way that you speak to that customer is going to mean the difference between you retaining 100% of what you sold them or having to give them a refund, okay? So if you are tactful about the way that you approach your customer and the way that you deal with this situation, you can, in most cases, retain all of that business, okay? There are things that you could do. So as I say, you could offer them the smaller advent calendar and then offer to make them up a hamper of all of the other Christmas products. Okay, at the end of the day, the other Christmas products are going to launch on like the 10th of September or something. We're still going to be 6 weeks before the customer wants their flipping advent calendars. So you've got time to think about what is happening, what you're going to do, and how you're going to give that customer something to make them still feel like they're getting good value for money. Most people will probably be happy to get, because they've already spent the money with you. At the end of the day, they've spent the money with you already, so they're happy that that is gone, you know. So if you said to them, I'm really sorry, but I've managed to secure you this one, and I'm going to give you this as well, 9 times out of 10 they're going to go, yeah, that's fine, I'm more than happy with that. There's been times when I've had out of stocks with products of whatever, it might be a mango, whatever, a body yogurt, for example, and I've said, you know, it's been substituted for you for a Satsuma body lotion. I hope that's okay. And the customer's like, yeah, that's fine. And I'm stressing myself about it. And at the end of the day, they don't really care. As long as they've got something, there are ways that you can speak to your customer to make sure you retain that business. And you may not retain that business in this month. You might have to wait until September when the the rest of the Christmas products come in. So you could order the small advent calendars now and then order some other Christmas products later and make them up like a hamper or whatever. But there are things that you can do. So don't just automatically panic and assume the worst, because you can resolve the situation. But please wait, and as I say anyway, please wait until later today, because it could just be a stock move. We could get some more stock coming in, because the chances of them wanting to be out of stock and lose sales on the larger sizes is very, very slim. Okay, so they may be able to get more stock from retail and all of that kind of thing. You know the way that this goes. Every single launch, it goes out of stock, and then a couple of days later we get some more in. Tea tree mask, prime example. So don't panic, keep smiling, don't stress yourself out, don't stress your customers out just yet. Give yourself a little bit of time to breathe, give everybody a little bit of time to figure out what's going on, because everybody's knackered from staying up late and things like that this morning. Everybody's going to be a little bit ratty, everybody's going to be getting their hair off a little bit. So just have a little bit of patience, take a deep breath, smile, and try and focus on something else until we get an update. As soon as we get any kind of update, Clarita will let us know, and then we can decide what to do and where to go from there. So have a great day, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye bye.